Welcome into the Sportsocracy. It is Thursday morning. Happy New Year's Eve to everybody. It is time for the first of the season mock draft. Jeremy has laid out his picks now for the mock draft. Thank you. I hear myself. Everything's nice.
Imagination.
It is the Sportsocracy. Like, share, and follow the Sportsocracy on all of the social medias. And we are live once again from the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. So the 2021 NFL draft is going to,
It's spectacular.
I mean, the number one pick, obviously, is already decided.
I mean, I think we can go ahead and... there it is.
There it is.
There he is.
There you go. Trevor Lawrence going number one overall to whoever has the pick, whether someone can offer Jacksonville a king's ransom and get that pick to get up to number one, since Trevor Lawrence may not want to hang out down in Jacksonville.
Well, the only thing about that is, does Trevor Lawrence want to play in Jacksonville? Mm-hmm. Nobody has said anything. There is any... I mean, I've even said it. That's not coming from him. That's coming from, he's going to hire an agent that at some point is going to say, really? You really want to be in Jacksonville? Okay. But, I mean, this is the number one prospect in the class. Mm-hmm. Very rarely is a quarterback the number one player in a class. Mm-hmm. This is one of those years.
For, for career development purposes, Jacksonville may not be the best place to go. So that will hinder that. But as far as, being able to make money and making yourself marketable, I really don't believe that shit exists anymore. You can go anywhere.
Oh, it 100% does. You have to. You better be good. That's it.
Well, I mean,
yeah. If you're going to be Pat Mahomes, I mean, I get that, but you have to have stuff around him. And that's what scares me about Jacksonville is that nobody wants to play there. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get an Andy Reid as a coach. They haven't shown an ability to draft a Travis Kelce or a Tyreek Hill or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So, I do have reservations of the fit in Jacksonville. I liked him much better with the Jets. But this is the number one quarterback I've ever rated. I've been doing this 14 years. I added a year. I went back and looked last night as I was getting ready for the spectacular. This is my 14th year of evaluating draft classes.
All right. So Trevor Lawrence goes number one to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have their quarterback of the future. Then it comes down to what happens at number two. The New York Jets currently sitting with the number two pick. Will they keep it? Will they trade it?
Oh, wait. We have a trade.
Oh, okay.
Jets traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay. I have it on really good authority that the Jets do not plan on having Penny Sewell and Mekhi Becton on the same team for one great big reason that nobody seems to want to talk about. Which one's going to play right tackle? Because that cost you millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. One of them has already said, I don't want to do that. I believe it was Penny Sewell. I have yet to confirm that, but I had a beat writer tell me that one of them's not playing on the right side. Mm-hmm. I think Mekhi Becton probably would. But why not just, at Cincinnati, give us a couple twos, we'll move down to 5 and get a guy that we really like.
A couple of twos?
Yeah. Moving from 5 to 2, not for a quarter. And this is not going to be a Jared Goff, level deal. This is not going to be 3 1s or anything like that. Mm-hmm. The value of Trevor, you look at the trade value chart, that's not completely accurate. It would cost 5 1s for a team to get up and get Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. It probably costs a couple 2s, maybe a 3, an extra added 3 to get from 5 to 2. Solely because, and I do have to say this, Penny Sewell is a fantastic prospect. Mm-hmm. He's still a left tackle, not a quarterback. That is who they're trading up for. And he is a fantastic left tackle. People that do what I do drive me crazy saying, oh, he's not a generational talent. He's pretty damn generational. He was an 18-year-old kid dominating the Pac-12. Mm-hmm. He is a gigantic human. He does not have a deficiency. He moves like he's half his size. And he's, plus pass blocker plus run blocker. Mm-hmm. That's very difficult to say. I mean, I compare him to Anthony Munoz for a reason. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what he reminds me of. This is a guy that has no flaws. Footwork's great. Hands are great. Only fear with him, he could get out of shape. His body type bothers me just a little bit because he's a guy that if he comes into the league, develops a little bit of money, could gain a little bit of weight. We also said that about Jonathan Ogden, so let that be known.
Yep. So Cincinnati getting up to get the generational left tackle obviously makes sense.
Oh my God! Don't say generational.
Why?
Oh my God! I have been up and down a road for calling him a generational talent.
I'm going to agree with you because I think he's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, 15-year All Pro.
He was the best offensive lineman in the Pac-12 in 5 quarters. That's how long it took. And this is a guy that hadn't played football for a great long time. He started playing football in high school, and body type, just natural ability, very athletic. This is a special player.
Yep.
This is a special player that. I mean, and I could see the package being more because there could be other teams that go, screw Cincinnati, we'll move up and do it and give you one next year. I don't think Cincinnati will do that.
I think a couple of twos is a little low to move up.
It could be.
Because I think you're going to have a lot of teams that are interested in moving up to this 2 spot. New York comes out and says, we're putting this thing on the auction block. I think you could have an arms race.
It's just happened so rarely. It's been so rare that teams have moved up. I mean, literally, to find a spot where a team has moved into a top 1 or 2 pick for a lineman, you have to go back to the mid-'90s. And oddly enough, guess who traded that pick? My Jets. Guess who that pick was?
Anthony Munoz?
Nope. Anthony Munoz in the 80s.
Oh.
Orlando Pace.
Orlando Pace.
We traded that pick. We traded down 2 times and took James Ferrier, who 3 years later left and went to Pro Bowls with the Steelers.
Right.
Because Jets.
Yep. Number 3 pick belongs to the Miami Dolphins. Will they stay in the 3 spot?
I believe so.
Will they trade out?
I believe so. I still stand by what I said yesterday, that I don't feel like they're completely set at quarterback. And I think they believe that. I think they look at Tua and go, if the opportunity presents itself, we have a very rare opportunity here. That we're a playoff team picking in the top 3 because the Houston Texans are horrendous. I see a path that they take a quarterback and then ship off Tua Tagovailoa. I do see that, but they had to fall in love with somebody, and I don't know if they will or not. This is a year with quarterbacks not named Trevor Lawrence that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because there are going to be teams that fall in love with Zach Wilson. There's going to be other teams that look at him and go, he might be a knucklehead. He might be a head case because he does have some off-the-field stuff that worries me.
Like what?
Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
There's been some reports that maybe he likes to party a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe if he gets money, it could end up in a Johnny Manziel situation. I don't think he's that bad. Here's the thing you have to remember about BYU. It's in Utah. Read into that what you will. So his, rebellious stage might be, pretty tame in the other 49 states.
Just a little too
and that's
much.
not me, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying the way, this is not the first time this happened with a BYU player that, the local media has said, oh, he's a rebel. And, their rebel is, oh, he smoked a cigarette one time. So,
he's just a little too much for the Mormons, is what you're saying.
And I wasn't going to say that, but, it's a little stricter in Utah. That's all I'm saying.
Controversial. I mean, we all know.
It's just a little stricter in Utah. That's all I'm saying. But I do think Miami sticks at 3.
Okay.
There are a lot of times when I do these that things just fit way too well.
Okay.
And this is one of those times. With the 3rd pick, I have the Miami Dolphins selecting Gregory Rousseau from Miami.
All right.
Don't let anybody tell you this is not the best pass rusher in this class. If they do, stop listening to them immediately because they're wrong. And it's not even vaguely close. Kwity Paye has become really popular in the last, probably month. He's not in Greg Rousseau's class. Rousseau's the one guy that opted out that I think is immune to falling. I have Jamar Chase falling further than I did. Not saying it's real far, just saying he falls because he opted out.
He falls a little bit.
Greg Rousseau has limited tape. That's one thing that could hurt him, is that it was, 1-year wonder. He was phenomenal. Gets after the quarterback, just incredibly talented kid. I don't see any way he falls out of the top 5. Now, I've gotten small a period of time, plus he's got Quincy Roche on the other side. They're going to have 3 pass rushers drafted in this class. So, is it possible that he was propped up by the guys around him? Sure. I don't believe that to be the case. Technique is fantastic. This is not a Joey Bosa level talent. Don't get that mistaken. But this is a guy that's a pass rusher that doesn't just get washed out and run in run support. So he is a 3-down pass rusher, which those are getting harder and harder to come by as time goes on.
All right, I'm surprised. I would think Miami would be in the market for another weapon for Tua. I mean, if they're going to stick with the quarterback, they need to get him more weapons. And, they've got a couple of guys that are available right here that played with Tua in college.
I don't disagree with you. I'm going to level. It's too early.
3 is too early.
I think 3 is too high. I look at this draft classes. There's 4 elite guys that need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in some shape, form, or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 that have already gone, Greg Rousseau, and the guy that's the next pick to the Atlanta Falcons. So I don't think you can take them that high. If Miami could trade down, I think they would. I don't see anybody trading up for a linebacker. I mean, if you remember, we did this last year. Remember the Lions wanted to trade down. They did not want to take Jeff Okudah at 3. They couldn't find anybody.
So you don't think there's another quarterback in this class that teams will trade up to get?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that it doesn't happen again in a few picks. Just said they're not going to trade up this high.
Trade up to 3.
I don't think you have to.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of talk about, will a team trade up to get Zach Wilson at 2 with the Jets? I don't think you have to. I think this is one of those years, just like last year, where teams will call the bluff. Okay, take him. All right, Detroit Lions, if you're so dead sold on Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert, take him. Mm-hmm. We'll believe you when you do it. And if you do, we'll be a little sad. But, it is what it is. Do it.
I think a lot of people or a lot of teams that would be in the market for a quarterback would be searching or calling out, reaching out to the Miami Dolphins to get this pick because Atlanta could take one.
They could. I don't buy that and I never have. I don't buy it. I think if they do, it's Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. You will see in just a second that I don't think that's going to happen.
All right.
So, to me, the thing about it's real easy to say, Washington needs a quarterback or Atlanta needs a quarterback or Detroit, whatever the case may be. These teams need a quarterback. You're right. They have to have a quarterback they're sold on. Because if you take a quarterback that you're not sold on, you know what that winds up being? Dwayne Haskins. Mm-hmm. We've seen it too many times. You take a guy because he's the best quarterback available and you have a billion questions about the guy, and then he winds up being a headache. You know what you never do? Think about all the guys that have been that guy. Be it Josh Rosen, Dwayne Haskins, down the line, Johnny Manziel, on and on and on. What's the common thread there? There's a common thread between every one of those guys. E.J. Manuel, nobody traded up to get them.
Right.
They fell in your lap and you took them.
Yep.
I think you're going to see a lot of that this year. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that say, in the pre-draft process, I think you're going to hear a lot of, Team X is in love with quarterback Y. Cool. Rubber meets the road. I don't envision them giving up draft capital to go get them. Mm-hmm. There's too many questions. And, there are a few quarterbacks in this mock, so as we get to them, I will tell you the hesitations that people will have with them.
Okay. All right. I think everybody will probably either if you're in the market for a quarterback and you fall in love with one, you want Justin Fields, you want Zach Wilson. I think teams are going to feel the pressure to either move up in front of Atlanta or they definitely need to move up in front of Detroit because I think both of those teams are likely candidates to take a quarterback. Number 4 belongs to the Atlanta Falcons. You say they're not going quarterback.
I don't think they are. I really don't. I know Matt Ryan is older and, I get it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to. I just don't see it happening.
What future failed pass rusher will they take?
It's not a pass rusher.
Because they're pretty good at that.
They are. Mm-hmm. But this is not a pass rusher. Micah Parsons,
yes.
Linebacker out of Penn State.
I like that pick.
They have to have a stalwart on defense. Mm-hmm. They currently don't have one of those. People say Deion Jones. Deion Jones can't play in in passing downs. Deion Jones has to go away,
and he's hurt every
he's hurt
week.
Constantly. Keanu Neal's hurt constantly. There are a lot of problems that come in with the guys they have. They need a stalwart linebacker. Mm-hmm. Here's my problem with Micah Parsons. I don't know what he is. I really don't. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's an inside linebacker. I don't know if he's a 3-4 Mike. I don't know if he's a 3-4 Sam. I don't know. And I think that whoever drafts him is going to do some stuff. And they're going to have to tinker around. Micah Parsons is a guy that I think 2 years from now we look at and go, was he that great? And then he's going to find his stride. They're going to put things around him, and all of a sudden you're going to go, oh, that's that guy. That's the guy. He's tremendously talented, very solid tackler, 3-down linebacker. My fear is that a team puts him in the wrong scenario. I think he belongs on a team that runs 4-3, running on the outside. That's where I think he fits the best. 3-4, he's an inside linebacker. He is not a pass rusher in that stereotypical mold. The bad thing is, the last time I did this, there was another linebacker that I said all of these exact same things about. Care to take a stab at who that was?
No.
Aaron Curry.
Oh, okay.
I loved that he was so multiple and you could do so many things with him, but he wasn't a pass rusher. He was an every down, whatever. And that scares me. I am worried that Micah Parsons could end up being, Aaron Curry.
I mean, I guess.
I think you like him better than
I guess there's a possibility of that, but to me, he just looks like he has all of the tools.
He does.
He looks like he has everything to be successful at the next level. I'm not the tape junkie that you are, that, go into technique and all that shit. When I go by the eye test. When I see this guy on the football field, he looks like the real deal. And I think he's a big reason why Penn State was so god-awful this year.
It didn't help.
It obviously, there were other problems with that team. Yes, I understand that. But when you lose a defensive leader like Micah Parsons,
it's certainly going to have an effect.
And I think this is a good path for the Atlanta Falcons. They definitely have to do something on the defensive side of the ball. And I think here you go. You've got a guy who's probably going to make a Pro Bowl or two.
It's the last guy on the board that there's not questions about. He's the safest player on the board.
Okay.
Then again, I said the verbatim same thing about Aaron Curry. So these guys make me nervous. Linebackers that can't pass rush scare the piss out of me. For every James Ferrier, I can give you a guy like, I don't know. This wasn't a linebacker, but he was just a solid Tyson Jackson. Remember Tyson Jackson at LSU went to the Chiefs?
Yep.
Same thing. Not a pass rusher, very solid in run support, 3-down lineman, can play inside, all these things. So multiple. He's a bust. He went to he bounced around the league and was never more than a good rotational piece. That's where he was. So I do have some hesitation, but it's not about the talent. It's about the fit. And this is the last guy on the board that I can say that.
Okay.
There is a big drawback to every player, I will say, from here on out.
All right. The number 5 pick got traded. The Jets now have the 5 pick after Cincinnati moved up to get Penny Sewell. So, what are your Jets going to do?
I want this to happen.
Where you're getting a wide receiver? Yeah.
Devontae Smith.
Okay.
This is a guy that's guys that do what I do, we may end up killing each other over Devontae Smith. I understand the drawback of him. He's 6 foot, probably standing on a hill in a pair of high heels. He weighs $175. There is a fear that he gets into the NFL and just gets killed. Now, here's what I think will happen. I think he's going to get into a big boy strength and conditioning program. I think he'll add a little weight. He's already not the fastest guy. This is not a guy who's going to run a 4.3. It's not Jalen Waddle. This is a guy that he reminds me of Jerry Jeudy. He just gets open.
He's a great route runner.
He does everything well. Now, my fear in the NFL is he is so slight that he could have injury issues. And that's the reason that you're going to see the range on Devontae Smith is going to be insane. You're going to see guys that have him I've seen him as high as 4. I've seen him as low as 24.
Yep.
So, there's going to be some discrepancy here. I'm of the belief that he's the best receiver in this class. And I don't think it's all that close, to be really honest with you.
I think it's real close in my book, and I won't be surprised if he's not the first wide receiver off the board. because I think Jamar Chase makes a good case for that. I think Jalen Waddle makes an excellent case for that. I think that's really the only three that could that could vie for being the first wide receiver off the board.
The Jets have to have a weapon. Mm-hmm. You know, Denzel Mims is all fine and dandy. I do kind of like Rashad Perriman. The problem with both of them is they get hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. Jamison Crowder is the one constant. I will level with you. This was almost Kyle Pitts. I considered that. Probably.
Wait. You giving up on Chris Herndon?
Oh, Chris Herndon's bad. It is no longer Chris Herndon season.
I'm sorry, it's been a year in, year out thing for the last 3 years, I think, with Jeremy. 2 years with Jeremy. Chris Herndon. Oh, it's going to be Chris Herndon's year.
Well, it could have been, except, I forgot. He's bad at football. He's not good at it.
Yep.
So, oops.
Okay. Kyle Pitts.
One of the things that I thought about the longest was Kyle Pitts, right?
I think 5's too high for Kyle Pitts.
It's not. You know why I say that? You know where Kyle Pitts is on my board?
Where?
5.
Nah.
He's the 5th best player in this class. My problem with Kyle Pitts is he's never been asked to block in his life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great pass catcher, and he's freak athletic. He's gigantic. He's never been asked to pass block. And I think a tight end with Sam Darnold is going to have to be able to pass block, which is why I eventually settled on Devontae Smith.
I think the highest I've seen him in a mock draft is like 11.
Well, that's going to stop, I promise you.
Kyle Pitts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to start seeing him higher because in the pre-draft process, teams are going to fall in love with him because he's going to run faster than you think. He's going to measure like a Terminator, and then you're going to watch the tape and just go, my God, in the SEC, he was undefendable.
Right.
I see the same thing in Devontae Smith. He plays a more premium position, which is why he goes to the Jets at 5.
All right, number 6 belongs to the Philadelphia Eagles at the moment.
This is the second year in a row I have mocked a receiver to the Philadelphia Eagles from LSU that I am not in love with, Jamar Chase.
You're not in love with Jamar Chase?
I'm not and never have been. I don't. I have a hesitation with Jamar Chase. Why did you opt out? Why? And you're never going to be able to convince me it's not
why
Joe
risk
Burrow.
it?
Well, that's
he didn't want his biscuit. That's why.
I'll go ahead and tell you. The guys that say, "Oh, I didn't want to risk it," they're going to fall. You mark my words.
Okay.
Because they're not going to be able to answer that question, and most of their answers are going to be awful. Well, your teammates managed to do it. You know, you committed to this university, and then all of a sudden you're scared of the Rona, in spite of the fact that it hasn't had any long-term effect on any player in college football. So that's going to be an uncomfortable answer. Mm-hmm. You remember what they asked Des Bryant? Trust me, they're not going to pull punches on why you didn't play because of the Rona. It's not going to happen. It's the way this whole community works.
Right.
They ask questions that are uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And you know how I know that? Because I've been told that by several guys that are going to be in those rooms. We're going to ask. Mm-hmm. And your answer better be damn good.
You don't think they'll be coached on that, though? And they'll be able to give answers?
I'm sure they will be. The problem is that I don't think the coaching will help. Because at the end of the day, you quit on your team. You quit on your team for something that it was very obviously shown over the course of time that you didn't have to worry about. And you never came back. And with Jamar Chase, the problem's going to be, your quarterback that made you look so good went number 1 the year before. Then you had huge quarterback issues this year. Mm-hmm. Ironic, ain't it? Ironic that you would opt out for that. And that's how that's going to go. You may think I'm a jerk for saying it. That's the way that conversation's going to go. Joe Burrow goes away. That's the guy that made you look like the best receiver in this class. And then all of a sudden you couldn't play. What do you have to say to that? I don't care how coached you are. There's not a good answer to it. Mm-hmm. You can be coached to death. It doesn't matter. The answer is, you're right.
I take my health and safety personally, and I wasn't willing to risk getting sick.
Okay, when you watched it happen for months and nobody did, nothing about that, just go. I'm telling you, these questions are going to be asked.
I don't think they're going to knock guys that much.
I'll go ahead and tell you,
I really don't.
As I just said, I've talked to 3 guys that will be in this room that have all said, trust me, we're going to ask. They asked Des Bryant if his mom was a hooker. You don't think they're going to ask?
Of course they're going to ask. Of course they're going to ask, and it's going to, but
some of them are going to ask in an aggressive way, too.
Well, that's fine, but anything short of him answering saying, I just, I didn't want to risk getting hurt. I wanted to focus on the draft.
All right, so here's how this works. And I'll take you behind the curtain of how these interviews go. If he says, "Oh, I didn't want to risk getting hurt," you know what the first thought they're going to have is? Every time this guy has a hangnail, he's going to sit. Every time. You didn't want to risk it with a virus that you, A, did not understand, B, were handed the information on a silver platter, and then you still sat out, and your quarterback situation was a disaster. Heard. Every time you have a hangnail, you're going to sit, which will push you down the board. I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to put Ja'Marr Chase at 6. I didn't want to put him in the top 10 because I don't think he goes in the top 10. At the same time, he does fit in Philadelphia quite nicely, and they just made a real big boom, not taking an LSU receiver last year. So I think they could try to shoehorn Ja'Marr Chase into the role that should have been Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I won't be surprised to see Ja'Marr Chase go as high as 3 in this draft to the Miami Dolphins.
You should be. He won't.
Okay.
You mark my words, he won't.
All right.
It's solely because of what I just said. Plus, I'll be honest with you, now we've had a year to dissect tape from the year before. There are hesitations there. There's hesitations on the talent. Not because I don't think the kid is talented, but because look at what he had around him. You had the number 1 pick in the draft throwing to you. You had arguably the second place for Rookie of the Year on the other side of you.
Yep.
You had Thaddeus Moss, that was an incredibly talented tight end. And you had a first-round pick in Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the backfield. How many times do we see this with USC?
You remember what your number 1 knock on Justin Jefferson was last year when we were doing all the drafts?
My knock on Justin Jefferson was he could only play out of the slot because that's what he did.
Your other knock on him was he wasn't even the best receiver on his own team. Who was the best receiver on his own team? Ja'Marr Chase.
I don't dispute any of that.
Okay. I just want to remind you of what you thought about this guy before he sat out this season.
I also learned here's the thing. When it comes to ranking guys and doing things like this, one of the biggest things that I have to fall back on is comps. Who do you remind me of? What does your situation remind me of? And LSU at this point starting to remind me of USC back in the day. There have been good receivers that came out of USC. Robert Woods is real good. Juju Smith-Schuster is pretty good. Now, Juju was later. But there have been a lot of busts. There have been a lot of guys that were not nearly as good as we thought they would be because they were propped up by the talent around them. I have a fear of that with LSU. I said it about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and guess what? It bore itself out. He was not nearly as good as you think he was. Fantasy football made Clyde Edwards-Helaire look way better than he was.
Right.
He wasn't good on the best offense in the league. I think it's a problem. And I'm telling you right now, teams are going to have questions. And I'm afraid he's not going to be able to answer them.
Okay. I don't think he's going to have a problem answering them because he's been practicing this the whole time. And all he's got to do, in my opinion, is to throw out a few stats of this affects black people more than it does anything. We don't know a whole lot about it. And a well-constructed answer is probably going to be good enough for a lot of teams because the talent is so great with him.
And you're undervaluing how much the talent has been questioned.
Okay.
See, here's the thing. When you sit for a year, it's Mike Williams' disorder. Do you remember Mike Williams at USC?
Oh, yeah.
We had a year to sit around and critique his tape. And you know what we figured out? Oh, he's just big, like real big. And his body type it lends itself to getting overweight, which he did. And he sat out a year. That's good. And I got news for you. That's the one thing I haven't said yet. He hadn't played competitive football in a year. By the time he touches a practice field, it'll have been 17 months since he's played a competitive game. That's a problem. We've seen it. Maurice Clarett, Mike Williams, on and on and on down the line. It's a problem.
All right, number 7 pick belongs to the Detroit Lions.
Not anymore, it doesn't.
Oh,
We have a
there's
trade. The Washington football team trades up from 19 to 7 with the Detroit Lions.
That's a hell of a jump. What'd they give up?
A 2 this year and a 1 next year. It's not as big of a jump as you think.
not.
Once you get out of the top 5, it's not as expensive.
So the Washington football team have traded up to take
Give you one guess.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. And I do firmly believe that I think Zach Wilson and Ron Rivera are going to get along quite nicely. Here's why. He has a reputation as, maybe some off-field stuff. He's also got a real consistent arm. He's got a real consistent delivery, and the kid loves football. You know who else loves football? Ron Rivera. Mm-hmm. You know what he just watched for 2 years? A guy that doesn't love football, which is why this is not Justin Fields, by the way.
Because he doesn't love football?
I have fears with Justin Fields. When he comes off the board, I'll tell you what they are. But the reason they trade up for this quarterback and not one of the others is because I think Zach Wilson is really going to impress Ron Rivera. I really like this kid a lot. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to like about him. What is it we all are thinking he looks like Jimmy Clausen?
He looks exactly like Jimmy Clausen. How do you not see it?
Maybe it's not that I don't see it.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I get it. It's just there's way more things to make fun of it with that stupid bandana.
There are a lot more things to make fun of him.
Well, I mean, if Jimmy Clausen's been out of the league for a while, so I don't know. I guess I see so many players over the course of time that I never really think, hey, that guy looks like Baker Mayfield. I don't really think that. That doesn't. When he takes his, I don't see him with their helmets off very often because I watch the All-22.
It's because it's unmistakable.
I mean, once you pointed it out to me, I saw it.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Exactly. Nobody's saying Zach Wilson is going to be what he was, what Jimmy Clausen was in the pros. Which
there are some people that think that. There's some.
I'm sure there are people that think that. And I can't control that. It's just based on strict looks. He looks exactly like Jimmy Clausen.
The one hesitation I have with Zach Wilson is the same hesitation I have with another quarterback that's going to go real soon. Level of competition. Mm-hmm. I am a little scared of that. Now, I don't think, the competition that BYU's played over time, I don't think is as bad as other people do. I think that Mountain West schedule, mm-hmm. I think it lays out a lot like the Pac-12 personally. I look at the Mountain West and the Pac-12 is pretty damn comparable at this point. And I'll be real honest with you, I think San Jose State would have beaten every team in the Pac-12 this year. So
really?
Yeah, I do. Confidently, actually. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess I just look at it and it's not bothering me that much, but I understand why it's bothering other people.
Okay. All right. So
if he falls, that's going to be why.
So there you go. Zach Wilson at number 7. I don't think these quarterbacks are going to fall all that much.
Okay, why?
Because I still think the hype on Justin Fields is so great that
Justin Fields' stock is typhooning.
Is it?
Yes. You're going to see Justin Fields. A little spoiler. Justin Fields is going to be way lower in this than you think he is. Mm-hmm. I won't be the lowest one you see. I promise you. Because I'm not the lowest one I've seen.
Okay.
I think the problem with Justin Fields is that it's manifested itself when he's played good defenses. Mm-hmm. I have never seen a bowl game matter more to a player than tomorrow's with Justin Fields does.
Yeah.
If he comes out and gets the piss beat out of him by Clemson, he will fall like a rock. Mm-hmm. Because we all already have questions.
Which is what's going to happen.
I agree with you. I'm going to be honest with you. Where I have Justin Fields it's a projection of I think they get slaughtered tomorrow.
Right. The New York Giants have the number 8 pick.
I see this guy fall a lot, and I don't get it. I think this is a guy the Giants need. He's a Joe Judge guy to me.
Okay.
Patrick Surtain. Mm-hmm. This is the best corner in his class, and it's not even close.
Yep.
One thing that could hurt him is that there has been a history of Alabama corners coming into the league not being as good as we thought they would be. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be a problem with this guy. This is a guy whose dad played in the NFL for 15 years.
Right.
So, he's been coached at a pretty elite level since he was just a young guy. Mm-hmm. So, this is one of my favorite players in this draft. I think he is what people thought Jeff Okudah was last year. I think he can be a lockdown number 1 corner. Mm-hmm. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't think he's falling past 10 with the draft order as it's currently set.
Right.
I've seen him fall to the mid-20s, and I think that's stupid.
I mean, it doesn't really surprise me. The Giants need to beef up their secondary. They need to do something on the defensive side of the ball. Would they go with the defensive player here just because it's best player available, or is it their biggest need?
I think they have to make up for the DeAndre Baker thing. Mm-hmm. I do. I think you have to, at some point, you got to have a corner on the other side.
Yep.
And, I understand that Bradbury was good this year. The other side was a disaster. You put another corner, you have to protect Daniel Jones. Because they're not at the Washington point of tapping out on a quarterback they took in the first round. Mm-hmm. So you have to protect him. You've already got decent enough receivers. I don't really feel like there's a receiver worth taking right here. They would be interested if one of them fell, but I don't think they're going to. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to beef up the defense, try to keep Daniel Jones off the field. Saquon's coming back next year. This is, in my opinion, the way that the Giants could be a playoff team next year.
Mm-hmm. I think offensive line should probably be their top target.
I don't agree with you.
Really?
Well, you got Nate Solder coming back that you're paying $1 bajillion to.
Mm-hmm.
You got Will Hernandez that's been pretty good. Mm-hmm. And they've had a couple other pieces that have been pretty good. Mm-hmm. I don't think the line's as big of a problem as people make it out to be. Could they use another one? Sure. Mm-hmm. They also need a quarterback that doesn't hold on to the ball so damn long. It's weird how bad offensive linemen tend to have quarterbacks that hold on to the ball way too long.
Yeah, but you have one of the best running backs in the league, and he can't get more than 3 yards.
Because nobody's scared of Daniel Jones. Nobody's scared of him. I'll be honest with you. I considered Jalen Waddle here. That's just too early for me. Injury, slight, not a great route runner. I mean, there's a billion things that I could say of why I didn't put Jalen Waddle at 8. Mm-hmm. When you see where he lands, you'll kind of understand why this is too high. But, I mean, I can see him doing it. It's just, for me, Patrick Surtain can't fall any further than this. He's too good. He's been too good for too long. And this is a position of need for the Giants.
Okay. All right. Now at number 9. It's the Carolina Panthers' turn. And will the Panthers take a quarterback? Or will they look somewhere else? Look to add another weapon? Maybe look to add Kyle Pitts at tight end? I've seen that a lot in mock drafts.
I considered that. I really did. Mm-hmm. But something was put in my head about a week ago that I can't get out of it.
Okay.
There's one guy in the NFL draft that reminds me a lot of Joe Burrow. And his name is Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State. This kid is going to be the most interesting draft evaluation probably in the time I've been doing this. Mm-hmm. He's thrown just over 300 passes in his college career. Mm-hmm. The physical tools are great. Everything in the world says don't draft him this high. Mm-hmm. But I think a team's going to fall in love with him. I do. I think a team's going to fall in love with him. I think a guy like Joe Brady is going to look at Matt Rule and say, this is the guy that I need to build my offense around. This is the guy that can get us in the playoffs because he has physical tools for days. Teddy Bridgewater has physical limitations. That's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. The other thing of that is Trey Lance is not going to play his first year. This is a guy that does not play year one. At least he shouldn't.
Right.
I'm not going to say he won't because I've been surprised in the past. But this is a guy that should not play year one. If he does, you're doing it wrong. This is a guy that needs to learn behind somebody that has vet experience and, is a pro's pro. That describes to a T. Teddy Two Gloves. It fits so well to me.
I don't like it.
So well to me.
I don't like it at all.
Why?
Because you said it. I have too many questions about Trey Lance and his ability to translate to the NFL. The fact that he doesn't have a whole lot of starting experience. I mean, hell, you've said it to me. What is this? Excuse me.
Don't die.
What does this scream? Mitchell Trubisky. Mm-hmm. I don't like this for the Carolina Panthers as this much of a Carolina Panthers blood in my veins. I don't like this at all.
Okay, so let me ask you
I want either Kyle Pitts or I want a tackle.
Would you like me to tell you why I didn't put Kyle Pitts right here?
Mm-hmm.
The same reason I don't think they're going to draft him. If you do that and you put Kyle Pitts out there as your tight end, mm-hmm. you're going to have the worst offensive sets to block ever. Mm. You're going to have 3 receivers that can't block and a tight end that can't block. Good luck. Doesn't fit. The fit's not right, and I feel like teams look at that and go, "Yeah, we're not going to do that." Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm. I think this is one thing the Carolina Panthers need to do. They need to figure out an offensive line. That's just me.
Figure out the offensive line?
Figure out the offensive line. Because you haven't done it for years. And you've tried time and time again to sign free agents, and it just hasn't worked. you had one piece.
Mm-hmm.
You had Ryan Khalil, and that was it.
This is going to be a difficult year for offensive linemen. And I'll tell you why. It slides perfectly into our next pick. With the 10th pick in the draft, the Denver Broncos select Elijah Vera Tucker. This kid right here is the definition of why offensive line evaluations this draft are going to be a nightmare.
Okay.
This is a lazy comparison, and I hate doing these because this is what people always do. They compare a guy to somebody that went to the same school as them.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to do that, but I can't help it. Mm-hmm. He reminds me of Austin Jackson so much I can't shake the comparison.
Okay.
I'm afraid a team like Carolina is going to look at somebody like Elijah Vera Tucker and another guy that's going to go a couple picks from now and have completely opposite issues. Elijah Vera Tucker is too raw for what they would need him to do. The other guy doesn't have a position.
Mm-hmm.
He'll fill a spot on your line for the next 10 years. I don't know what position it is. And I look at Carolina going, you either need a quarterback or you need a complete sure thing. Mm-hmm. Because the way they're building this team is getting a little scary to me, which is why I didn't put Kyle Pitts in at 9.
Okay.
If you're going to rely on Christian McCaffrey, you got to have guys that can block for him. And currently, you have the skinniest receiver in the NFL in Robbie Anderson, and then 2 small guys in DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. So you're going to throw a tight end out there, and then raw offensive linemen. This has get Christian McCaffrey killed written all over it. Mm-hmm. I think they have to go the vet route on the offensive line. That's my belief. I could be completely wrong. They might completely disagree with me, but I think that's how they have to go. Okay. I think Carolina knows this rebuild takes at least 1 more year. Mm-hmm. So we can keep Teddy Bridgewater in there and do all those things.
Right.
Elijah Vera Tucker is a guy that I look at with the Broncos. They've had line issues for years. Mm-hmm. Garrett Bowles all of a sudden he's the most penalized player in the history of time.
Right.
But he's actually been decent in terms of production. I think this gives you the ability to move guys around. This is a young guy that can grow with Drew Lock. I really like Elijah Vera Tucker. He's my favorite lineman in this draft, not named Penny Sewell. I am very much on an island with that. But this is a guy I think is going to test well and I think screams up boards once we get into the process.
I think this is the only time I've ever seen him mocked in the top 10.
It shouldn't be because that's happening a lot now.
I've seen a lot of Elijah Vera Tucker in the 20s.
We weren't sure he was coming out. Mm-hmm. So, if you're looking at older mock drafts, I can understand that.
Right.
He ain't falling out of the teens, I can tell you that much. Mm-hmm. He's going to test too well. This is a name you're going to hear a lot more too much from now, and I'll be the one that says, hey, remember, there was a guy that told you that.
Right.
Right here.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a great pro. I think he will be. He needs time to grow. Mm-hmm. He needs to be coached. And this is a kid that needs to be coached hard because he does have the mentals. He fades off into the ether sometimes. There are times that you can tell he's not fully invested in the game. That's how I should say. Mm-hmm.
All right, Dallas Cowboys are next up at number 11. Do they decide to take a quarterback?
They have a quarterback.
Are they going to ditch out on Dak Prescott?
This guy can't fall anymore. It's Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
He can't fall any further. And in Dallas, my God. If you have Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Kyle Pitts, Zeke, you don't matter anymore. You get as fat as you want to because you might be a fullback by the end of this. I just don't think – I look at Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones loves toys. Mm-hmm. And defensively, there's not a lot here that gets me really excited. Mm-hmm. There is a guy, I thought about Kwity Paye right here. Mm-hmm. I just don't think he fits that defense, and I don't know what their defense is going to be. I can tell you for damn sure it's not going to be Mike Nolan. And I do have a belief that I think you're going to see market improvement from the defense under another coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Secondary help.
I wanted to get them a corner. There's not one. There isn't one here.
There's not one?
No. Not one that's
too high
can't
for Sean
pass
Wade?
on for Sean Wade. Sean Wade will be lucky to go in the first round.
Really?
Sean Wade's been a fucking disaster. He's in this mock, but it's much later.
Caleb Farley. He's another one.
Hadn't played in a year. Yeah, Dallas has to spend money on a corner, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think you can throw a rookie out there and expect, and none of these guys. I mean, Caleb Farley comes off the board, in pretty short order here. Mm-hmm. He's not far away. But there's a part of it that I just look at and go, I mean, does it make you that much better?
But after they pay so much for Dak Prescott, are they going to have money left over to sign a priority free agent at corner?
No.
I mean, that's a big money position.
To me, the Dallas Cowboys secondary is pretty easy to figure out. You have to find a coach that's going to play more zone than they're playing right now. Mm-hmm. Mike Nolan reminds me so much of Greg Williams that it's pathetic. You're stuck in the ways of the early 2000s and you haven't come out of it. Mm-hmm. This is a team that has tremendous talent and has great pass rushers. You know what makes secondaries look less bad? Good pass rush. And you got DeMarcus Lawrence and Aldon Smith. I feel like, and Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, and there's talent on this defense. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a good coordinator is going to be able to take advantage of it. I don't think Jerry Jones can let Kyle Pitts slide by. I don't. All right. I feel, and you know what tells me that? CeeDee Lamb tells me that. Because he couldn't let him slide by last year. He had two receivers. He couldn't help it. He could not help himself. Mm-hmm. That's my number one receiver. I need that toy. Go get me that toy.
I mean, that would make Dak Prescott and the passing game for the Cowboys just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Hate it for fantasy owners because it's gonna be hard to figure out who to choose week in and week out. It's already hard enough.
Yeah, Dak Prescott's gonna be he'll be real good. He'll be good at that fantasy football thing.
Yeah,
because he'll have a billion toys.
There is no doubt about that. All right, the Chargers are up at number 12.
This guy infuriates me because I love the talent, but he's so infuriating me. Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman at Northwestern. Mm-hmm. He's so talented. I just don't know where he plays. He's played every spot on the line. I don't think he's a tackle, and it's really hard for me to take a lineman this high that I don't project as a tackle. I do project him as a guard. Mm-hmm. Or I think he could play right tackle. You got Brian Balaga there. This is just his floor to me. He's so damn talented, and I think he's going to test incredibly well. I don't think he can fall much further past this. He's a guy you're going to see a lot of. There will be a lot of variance on him as well. Because, I mean, there's a team that thinks he's a left tackle. Mm-hmm. I don't see that. I've been wrong before. Offensive line is one of the hardest things to judge. But if we're being honest, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. Who was my number one tackle last year?
I forget.
You shouldn't, because he plays for my team.
I can't think about it. Oh, Mekhi Becton.
Yep. Yeah, guess who the number one tackle in this class was? Mekhi Becton. There was one guy that I didn't like worth a shit. You know who that was? Jedrick Wills. Mm-hmm. Not been great. Not been on the field. He's had more injury issues than anything.
Right.
And Rashawn Slater falls into that Jedrick Wills category for me. Mm-hmm. I think he will be better at a position that nobody's ever going to play. Because you're not going to take a guy this high to play the guard. But the Chargers, if they don't fit, they have to find some way to protect Herbert. Mm-hmm. Your weapons are decent enough. I know Mike Williams is a free agent, but I think they find a way to get that done. And they found two undrafted rookies that look pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people talk about them taking a receiver. I just don't see it happening. Personally.
Well, I mean, Jalen Waddle would be a nice little tool for Justin Herbert to have.
Jalen Waddle probably... Here's my problem with Jalen Waddle. I like him. I do. People compare him to Tyreek Hill. I get it. He's going to run really fast. Mm-hmm. I don't know that he can hold up to the NFL. I don't. Because he's not a guy that has shown... He just blows by guys. He's Usain Bolt fast. Mm-hmm. I don't know that he's otherworldly talented. That's my problem with him. Is I think he runs by guys that are just markedly slower than him. There's not really a way to defend him.
Right.
So plus I want to see him run. He's a guy that will be higher probably. I do 3 mock drafts every year. One of them's on New Year's. One of them's after free agency. One of them's the day of the draft. Mm-hmm. Jalen Waddle will probably be higher in my next one, but I need to see him run. It's really bothering me that he's trying to come back. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. That's a bad decision.
Now wait a minute. You knock guys for sitting out, but if a guy tries to come back, you're gonna knock him for that.
Oh, I'll laud him for trying to do it. Oh hell, I want you on my team. The fact that you care this much, hell yeah, I want you on my team. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a good decision for your health. Because if you screw it up again, you'll fall like a rock. Mm-hmm. Because then you won't be able to run. We won't see how you run, and then you're going to fall like a rock in water.
Yep. There is a possibility, Nick Saban at least leaving open the possibility that Jalen Waddle can be back for the national championship game. He is doing some dry ground running right now.
Dry land.
Dry land running, that's what it was. Dry land running at the moment. But he's not been back at practice. And, the national
I don't
championship
think he's
games.
going to play, at least not against Notre Dame. They don't need him against Notre Dame.
No, there's no shot for him playing against Notre Dame.
Oh, so they have said there is no shot against Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, a guy hasn't come back to practice and he's just now doing running. I don't think he's going to be ready in 2 days.
Well, I mean,
3 days.
T.O. played on a broken leg, so don't tell me there's no way.
Okay.
I'm just saying they haven't.
But he
ruled
also
him out.
did, but at the time he also didn't have his entire career in his hands.
Correct.
Now Jalen Waddle's got, he is a guy who hasn't been paid yet.
It tells me a lot about this kid that he's trying so hard to come back
Absolutely.
for a national title.
Absolutely.
I think it's funny we spent this much time on Jalen Waddle and not on the player whose name is on the screen.
Because he's a fucking guard. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean,
He's a real good guard.
Okay. I mean, he's a good guard. Throw him in there. Will Hernandez. How much can you really break down a guard?
I
mean, you can do it forever because you go, oh, his feet got in his hands and his reach, and I don't care. He's a fucking guard. He's a good guard. All right, take him, put him in there. We'll see how he does. If he does fine. Other than that, I don't give a shit because I'm never gonna hear his name again.
Oh no, you'll probably hear Rashawn Slater's name again.
Oh, you think so? Other than Rashawn Slater, he could be re-signed with his, after his fifth year of his rookie contract.
I think he could be a Pro Bowl guard.
Okay.
If they're willing to take him and put him where he belongs, I think he can be a Pro
I
Bowl
don't think I could name you the last 4 Pro Bowl guards. Can you?
Probably.
Come on, give me.
Marshall Yonda is the one that keeps screaming at me.
Okay, that's one.
Oh, Pro Bowl guards, Brandon Sheriff.
Yeah, but you see how hard you have to think about
Yeah.
it. That's what I'm saying. We don't really get. Guards aren't sexy. Nobody really cares. Rashawn Slater, fine. He's a fine guard from Northwestern. He'll go to L.A. He'll protect Justin Herbert. That's exactly what they need to do. They need to find somebody to protect Justin Herbert. Because you don't want to end up in the same situation as the Cincinnati Bengals did, where you've got your quarterback and then he dies. Minnesota Vikings.
I'm reading the comments of making fun of you, and I'm
They're making fun of me?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Tank talk. It's become a thing.
Yeah, who gives a shit? He's a guard. Don't give a damn.
Yes.
Guards are just a little hair above kickers.
You shut your dirty whore mouth. The water boy is just a hair behind kickers.
Kind of my point.
All right, let's move on to the next pick before I say something I shouldn't. This next pick's one of my favorite guys in this draft.
Minnesota Vikings at number 13.
I liked this guy so much, I actually took him twice in my original mock and didn't realize that until I went to put it on the screen. And
Wonderful.
Went, oh, wait, this already happened. Christian Barmore. This is a weak draft class for nose tackles in terms of big guys that can be, and I'm only saying this because it's Minnesota, the Linval Joseph type. This is a guy that can do that. This is a guy that could end up being a monster. And I look at Minnesota and all of the, we'll call them deficiencies. And I think this would be a fantastic pick for them. This is also a guy that some teams they see him as a 3-4 D end. I don't get that, but I don't see it. Doesn't mean it can't happen.
Nice. I have no frame of reference on this.
On Christian Barmore?
Yeah, I don't.
Really?
None.
He's a very large man.
Yeah.
A very strong, very large man.
Big dude.
And he's a nose tackle that can actually play in pass rush downs because he can get to a quarterback. I'm not saying it's his home run swing, but this is a run stuffer. This is a lane clogger. This is a guy that can rebuild that Minnesota pass rush with Danielle Hunter. Because you're not, as long as this guy's in the middle, you don't really have the ability to double team anybody. And I just look at Minnesota and go, that's a thing you need.
Okay. All right. New England Patriots.
All right, you want to move on to sexier things?
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you. How about that?
Oh, shit.
Justin Fields, New England Patriots, 14 overall. Let go.
Wow. This would be awful. It would be awful for Patriots fans because I don't see Justin Fields as a great quarterback in the NFL. I don't think there are a lot of people who do. And the fact that, I don't know, because I don't know who's going to be calling the shots. I don't know who's going to be calling the shots in New England, and I don't know if this is a guy that Josh McDaniels wants.
Where else do you go? We have one of these every year. Mm-hmm. Every year, there's a guy that is drafted as a means of convenience. He's the only quarterback there, so we took him. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. Because who else you gonna take?
And yes, Patrick Holt, I was a guard.
You think they're gonna take Kyle Trask? That was what I was laughing at earlier.
Yeah.
You think they're gonna take Kyle Trask this high? You think they're gonna take Mac Jones this high? Mm-mm. No. This is his floor. The floor for Justin Fields is wherever New England lands. Do I think it would be good? No. Do I think it would be funny? Yes. Yes, I do.
I think this is more of just you're wishing this on the New England Patriots franchise.
I'm not. It's how it fell. I mean, I can't help. That's how it fell. You know, he's there. What? All right. What other quarterback you gonna take? Mm-hmm. I've evaluated all of them. Tell me which one. Who you gonna put in right here?
Oh, I think this could
because they have to take a quarterback.
This could be Kyle Trask because I think Justin Fields could be gone before this.
I don't. I'm telling you, you're going to see more when he gets shellacked by Clemson. I mean, because there's already people like me that are going, "You looked bad against Indiana, and you looked bad against Northwestern." Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, and for better or worse, there is a stigma with Ohio State quarterbacks at this point.
Well, I mean, it's a trend that you can't deny.
Correct. You can't. And that's going to stick to him. Mm-hmm. For better or worse, it's going to stick to him.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen people try to defend Justin Fields and say, oh, well, you know, he would have been the best quarterback in the SEC had he not gone to Ohio State. You think so? Because I don't. I don't think he would have stuck at Georgia long anyway.
Everything I need to know comes from the fact that Kirby Smart, who I think is a reasonably smart guy, looked at Justin Fields and said, Jake Fromm gives me a better chance to win.
Yep.
That's everything I need to know. Jake Fromm, who was a 5th-round pick, they'll be lucky to be on a roster 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. I understand that's not always backwards comparable. I get it. This was number 1 recruit in the class. Mm-hmm. It's number 1 dual-threat quarterback in the class. So I don't buy this kid at all. If I had a bus meter, it would be run out in the parking lot with how little I believe in Justin Fields.
Okay. All right, Justin Fields to the New England Patriots, and the Patriot rebuild begins with what we project is probably going to be the next big bust at quarterback.
I believe so.
So that leads us to 15. The San Francisco 49ers.
J.C. Horn. This is a corner that I think fits in San Francisco, and they have 2 that are free agents. Mm-hmm. Richard Sherman's a free agent, and Jason Barrett is a free agent.
This is a guy I could also see him going to Carolina.
I don't think you take him that high. I like the talent on this guy, but it's in a very specific scheme. Mm-hmm. This is not a throw him on an island guy. It is not a shutdown guy, but this is a very talented corner. Mm-hmm. It's also Joe Horn's kid.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, he's played incredible at South Carolina this past year.
Here's the thing. Say what you want to about Will Muschamp. He knows how to coach defense. Mm-hmm. And this is a kid that's gotten very good coaching. I think he'll come into the league and be, he won't be playing for Robert Salah because Robert Salah is going to be the head coach of some other team.
Mm-hmm. The Detroit Lions?
Probably. And Detroit picking 4 picks from now, they're looking at J.C. Horn going, we could have
or the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've seen Robert Salah tied to them as well.
I don't think he would take the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doesn't make sense. You don't draft the best quarterback prospect
and then get a defensive
20 years and then hire a defensive coach.
Right.
Although that would be very Jacksonville Jaguar-y.
It would. It would indeed. All right, pick 16, the Las Vegas Raiders. What's their biggest need?
They're going to do I wanted to come up with some smart ass way to say this. I like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah right here. This is a dude that I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have one direct comp with him, and I can't get it out of my head. It's Telvin Smith. He just does everything. He's a hyper-athletic linebacker. This is something the Raiders need because they can get pass rush with Cleveland Farrell, Max Crosby, all those guys. They need somebody that can tackle. Somebody they can put beside Corey Littleton and stop the run, a dude that can rush the passer and just do everything. That's this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Little undersized, which scares me, but Mike Mayock has shown a propensity to not care about that. This was almost Kwity Paye, but I couldn't do it. This kid fits so well with the Raiders that I could not do it.
They took a swing on a lot of linebackers this year with Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski, and it didn't work out.
I mean, Corey Littleton's been fine. Kwiatkowski, I just don't think is an every down player.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that when they gave him money.
I mean, hell, he was a situational player.
He was a special teams player.
Yeah.
He was in Chicago.
Yeah.
He was a special teams player in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He was a damn good special teams player, but at the end of the day, still a special team player.
Right. All right. Defensive side of the ball for the Raiders.
I just love this kid. The tape on him, he jumps off the screen on tape.
Are you still talking about Owusu-Koramoah? What is it?
Did you have a stroke right there?
I did. Koramoah.
Do I need to call a doctor?
I did. I started doing the Ron Paul thing.
All right, let's move right past that. 17's the Arizona Cardinals. Caleb Farley. This is a guy that there's a lot of dissension on him. He's one of those that's either going to go higher than he should because people are they look at the good of the tape, or he's going to go lower than he should because people look at the bad of the tape. Because he didn't play this year, and there is good and there is bad. There's times he looks like he could be the next shutdown corner in the NFL. There's other times that he looks like burnt toast. So it's just a question of, do you think you can coach him up? I do like, everything happening with the Cardinals, young defense. This is a guy that can come in and play opposite Patrick Peterson, so he's not forced to be the one. That's a big deal with corners. Very rarely can a rookie cornerback come in and be the one. It's a really difficult position to learn in the NFL. But this is a guy that can, be on the other side of Patrick Peterson, be the two, learn the game, and eventually be the one.
Patrick Peterson going to be re-signed?
I believe so. I think he likes Arizona. I know there's been rumors about him being traded forever. He's never said a word about it.
Well, he's a free agent.
I know.
So
that's why I said they would re-sign him. You don't typically re-sign guys that you already have in a contract.
Oh, shit. Fucking dick.
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. Hey, we just got
it's the last show of the year.
We got to get through 15 more picks, and then we have a few days of peace and tranquility.
Arizona needs a lot of help on the defensive side of the ball. Caleb Farley definitely fills a need for them.
He fits that scheme pretty well, too.
I don't know how the Patrick Peterson thing is going to work out, but regardless, they're going to need one. And there's one sitting right here in their laps that I don't think you would have thought that he would have been going into the draft.
It depends. Caleb Farley's one of those guys that was comical to me because I had him in the middle. I had him about right here. And then all of a sudden he opted out, and all of a sudden he was the best cornerback in the class, and oh my God, he's going to go in the top 10. And I didn't see that. That's not how I saw this. But, okay, more power to you.
All right. 18, the Indianapolis Colts.
This is a guy that I'm going to be honest with you. There's been one name that's been stuck in my head since I did this, and it's this one.
Kwity Paye.
This is a guy that he's 1 year wonder, and that scares me. But damn, that 1 year was good. He is a great pass rusher. He's very twitchy. Comes off the edge nicely. I think he's very multiple. He needs to be with a 3-4 team. My fear is that Matt Eberflus is going to take a job somewhere else, and this defense could look markedly different a year from now. But the thought of having him coming off the edge with DeForest Buckner on the inside and Darius Leonard in the middle, shoo buddy. I don't care how bad your corners are. I do not care. That is frightening.
See, I feel like this is a perfect spot for Jalen Waddle again.
You're higher on Jalen Waddle than I am.
I am. I think pretty much everybody is.
I'll give you a hint. You don't have to wait much longer.
No, I mean, the Indianapolis Colts, they're going to be, they've already got Paris Campbell, who can't stay healthy.
Paris Campbell's the reason that Jalen Waddle's not the pick here.
They also, of course, have Michael Pittman Jr., but they're going to be losing T.Y. Hilton.
Oh,
because they're not going to be.
What was that name of the one the Indianapolis Colts? What was his name?
Michael Pittman Jr.
That's
yes,
my
we all
little
know you
boyfriend
loved
last
him.
year.
We all know you loved him.
That was my little boyfriend, and everybody said I was crazy. But look what happened. I had 2 receivers in last year's class that I was just drunk on.
Mm-hmm.
He was one, Chase Claypool was the other. Go to the other shoulder this time.
I could very well see them taking a wide receiver here, especially if Jalen Waddle's still on the board.
Here's the problem. Who's the quarterback?
Phillip Rivers?
I don't think he's coming back.
You don't think so?
I don't. He said yesterday, I see a path that this is my last game, and I've totally thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. And can we stop with the Carson Wentz shit? Can you stop with that? Just stop it.
He's going nowhere.
You're going nowhere.
He'll be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles next year.
Yeah, probably 20 years from now if I had a wager.
You think so?
No. But it ain't going to be. They ain't rid of him next year.
No.
That's a whole mess of money.
Mm-hmm. It is definitely going to be a chore to try to hang on to him with all that money he's due. Mm-hmm. I still don't see a path where Jalen Hurts is the starter for them.
I don't either, but we are definitely the lesser of feeling about Jalen Hurts.
Well, I think the last game should show you a lot.
Did for me.
But that's just me. All right.
Jonathan Willett said Indy would be a great place for Sam. Sam shall remain right here. Right where he belongs.
Yeah, he's not. Again, he's going nowhere.
You're going
Unless the Jets, decide to do Jet things and take Justin Fields at number 2.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Okay. Number 19.
The Detroit Lions.
Yep, Washington football team traded up from this spot to the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions come down and take Boogie Basham.
One of my favorite players in this draft. The thing you say about me that my parents didn't hug me enough?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about this dude. Because he has got a mean streak about as wide as this table. I like this dude a lot. Can play DN, can play D tackle, depends on your front. Good pass rusher, holds up and run support. Mm-hmm. There are some people that don't like him as much as me, and I don't understand why. This was the only dude on the team, and it didn't matter. All ACC, Jones Angel that we talk to every week, the play-by-play guy for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Mm-hmm. This is the first name he said when they played Wake Forest. This is the only name that matters. On the defense, it's 10 dudes in Boogie Basham, mm-hmm. and he's still fantastic.
Yep.
I think he would be a great pick for the Detroit Lions. Question is, are they smart enough to do that? The answer is, I don't know.
He would be another great lunch pail guy for the Detroit fans to latch on to.
He does fit Detroit nicely, too. Trust me, that was not lost on me.
Yeah. Chicago Bears at number 20.
You finally get what you want. Jalen freaking Waddle. God
Thank
almighty.
God.
I've heard his name so
Took
many
forever.
times. And it's going to on draft night, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Allen Robinson's gone. He's not going to re-sign. I don't think they're going to pay him.
I think they might franchise him.
You think so?
Well, they didn't trade him when he said trade me. So, and obviously they were like, we don't give a damn what you think.
I just don't know that he wants to be there anymore. Why would you want to continue to be there?
This resurgence has certainly helped. This team is markedly better today than they were, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But I like Jalen. I do like Jalen Waddle, and I will tell you something that a scout told me. Who is the best receiver in the NFL?
Devontae Adams.
Who is the scariest receiver in the NFL?
Tyreek Hill.
There you go. That's the reason Jalen Waddle probably goes higher than I have him right here. And he's probably going to rise in my second mock draft. The thing about him is I haven't seen him run. I don't know that he's going to be able to run at the combine, and I'm terrified that he's talking about playing in the national title.
All right, next man up for the Jacksonville Jaguars at pick number 21.
Poor Jacksonville.
They already got their quarterback. What are they going to put around him?
You know what the number one thing Jacksonville needs if they take Trevor Lawrence at 1?
A tackle.
Yep, somebody to protect him. Alex Leatherwood. This is a guy should have come out last year. I think he would have been a higher pick last year if he'd come out. Not because he's been bad, just because of the way this draft class lays out. There's not a lot of teams in that sweet spot for him that need offensive linemen. You know, I considered him at 10 to Denver, but I think the upside on Vera Tucker is higher. Leatherwood's safer. And this is a guy that if you have to, you can kick him inside the guard and he'll be a 15-year starter for you. This is about as safe as a pick gets in the NFL draft. And I think that's what Jacksonville's going to look at. I think Jacksonville looks at this guy and goes, I know you're going to have a role. I don't know that you'll be the left tackle. We're going to try that. And if that doesn't work, then you can be